Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laurie Davis. This is the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. We've been able to ramp up now with that new designation. Broadcasting to you live today, streaming live on Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page, also on E360 TV, and also on YouTube, The Laurie Davis Show. So, welcome, welcome. I've been away for a week. I've been gone. I went, wow, I've had my first getaway speaking engagement since before COVID. Oh, my goodness sakes. And I was a little rusty. It took me 4 days to get ready to go. I couldn't find my markers, I couldn't find my paper. I used to have one of those Rubbermaid containers. I called it my tickle trunk. And in there was everything I needed to take with me if I was doing a speaking engagement. And my tickle trunk had been literally blown up, I think, because it took me a few days to get organized. However, I'm completely grateful and thankful for the opportunity to have presented myself, plus a colleague of mine, at a conference last week that was designed specifically for Indigenous parents. Oh, it was beautiful. The food was great, the room was elegant, and the reception was wonderful. And so I was delighted, simply delighted, to be at the conference in Kananaskis, Alberta. Now, I've been in Alberta for 15 years. I've been to the Rockies, can't tell you how many times, but I've never been to Kananaskis, which is kind of tucked away south of the main Trans-Canada Highway. And we had never ventured down there. But what's beautiful is when you get down there, you're in the middle of the mountains and they're like so close you feel like you could touch them. They're a lot closer to the road. So just a little plug today for Kananaskis. We stayed at the Crosswaters Resort. If you ever want to have an amazing getaway, then book in. And they have, I believe, 2 or 3 hotels there, numerous restaurants, beautiful grounds and walkways and fire pits, and it's pet friendly. So I'm putting in a plug for them today based on the fact that I got to be able to stay there. So today I thought I would spend some time on 10 super ways to grow your business. Now, we have a product called 10 Ways to Grow Your Business, but this is coming from a little bit of a different slant than that. Excuse me. And so I want to talk about that today. Tomorrow, I'm going to feature some people, and we're going to talk about worthy Indigenous parenting, which was what the conference was all about. But we'll do that tomorrow. And excuse me. Wow. So we might not get to everything today, but as far as 10 ways, but I'll make a note if we don't get there. It's actually 12 that I have lined up to talk about. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay. We'll do it another day. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. We've just upgraded our title and our banner and our show. We're busy ramping it up, accepting some sponsors. And it took me the first, I don't know, a year and a half that I've been with E360 TV to know that this is home for me. I've worked for a lot of different radio stations, TV stations, but E360 TV, and I'll put a plug in for them right now, has been phenomenal in terms of support. If I need to be away, I can get a recorded show. If I need support with technology, they've been amazing. So just want to put a plug in for them. And if you would like to do your own show, just contact them. www.e360tv. Tell them that Laurie Davis sent you, and you can have your own show. And it's a little bit different than a podcast. A podcast doesn't have the same technology attached to it. So if you're using Zoom or any other kind of streamlining facility, E360 uses StreamYard. So we actually have a studio and we can do tickers like this, like today, like 10 ways to super grow my business. And these are added features that you get to have. So just wanted to put a little plug in for E360 TV today. All right. Well, I've been in business for 62 years coming up. I had my first business when I was 12. Some of you know that already. But in 1962, my dad got what you would call the golden handshake. He worked for a big steel company, and the company went bankrupt, and everybody was let go. But in 1962, it didn't matter how many years you had with the company, how much money you saved them, what kind of job you did. The golden handshake meant you were done, and there may or may not be any compensation. So this is the situation that my family found themselves in 1962. And I was 12, almost 13, and I went to my dad and I said, I can help. And that's when I started my own very first business. Did I realize that's what I was doing? No, but I had all the babysitting, housekeeping, dog sitting, cat sitting, grass mowing, you name it, on my street. And I was able to support the family until my dad got back to work. So that's why I say I've been in business for 60 years. Now, my greatest enemy in my business, I would have loved to have blamed so many people, so many agencies, so many organizations, even the government. I would have loved to have blamed them forever. But what I realized, and I just had this conversation today with Ron, my husband, that there were certain things we allowed to happen, which was our fault. And so I take complete responsibility for that. So out of that experience came a product that I called Mastery of Self, which segues into another product I developed, which was 10 ways to grow your business. But today I'm going to come from that place that in order to grow your business, we have to get out of our own way. Oh my gosh, totally out of our own way. So the first thing that we need to do is take some inventory. So what I mean by that is we need to take inventory of number one, what do I believe in? Do I have a code of ethics? Do I have core values? Do I believe in honesty, integrity? Well, there were times when I believed in that, but I didn't really practice it. So I've had to, take responsibility for that. What do I think? Well, thinking is an intellectual activity, so sometimes thinking isn't really important. Actually, overthinking makes things complicated. So I tend not to overthink anymore. I used to because I needed to be in control of. I needed to control everything. Does that sound familiar? And I was a control freak because when we want to control everything on the outside, it's because we feel out of control on the inside. And in our new promotional material around the show, my good friend Virginia Clark and I came up with this today. Our tagline is leading us past our limits, one show at a time. So sometimes we have guests, sometimes I'm by myself, sometimes we have a panel, but it doesn't matter. One show at a time to help us overcome our limitations. And then there comes that piece of us that needs to feel things. Do I feel that it's right? Do I feel good about this decision? Do I feel comfortable? Well, sometimes we need to be uncomfortable in order to grow our business. So if I'm feeling really comfortable, chances are I'm not going to move anywhere, because in order to move, we must become uncomfortable and take risks. And then there's the question of preference. Where do I want to work? What do I want to be doing? Who do I prefer to have in my circle? It's like a priority. What are your preferences? That's really important. I don't know about you, but every single day I have a realization about something. Maybe I realize I need to do some healthy things today. Maybe I realize I really want to spend some time with my partner, Ron. Maybe I realize, I need to call my mom today. I haven't talked to her in a few days. So, what are we realizing right now? What's something that you're realizing you need to make happen right now? And I advise my clients to practice the rule that I have for many years, and that is the night before I go to bed, just before I go to bed, I create a list of the 6 most important things I need to do tomorrow. And that really helps me to get my priorities in order. And then there's the whole idea of family. How do I balance my business with my family? All the demands on my life. Maybe I'm taking care of elderly parents. There's so much to stay in balance over. So yesterday, after coming home from the conference, I'd worked pretty hard, 4 days before the conference and then 4 days during the conference. And so that was like 8 days, 8 straight days, no downtime. And I needed to yesterday just rest, because I also had a busy weekend with friends. What do I know? What do I know? What I think I know and what I actually know are 2 different things. And I always encourage people to, what you know is what we've experienced. So I use the example of, if I've never been divorced, I can't really talk credibly and support someone else who's going through a divorce. It doesn't work. If I've never lost a partner or a spouse, I have no idea what that means or what that even looks like. So knowing is different than thinking, or how we say, when you talk about what you don't know, it's like blowing smoke out of your butt. It's BS. So we have to be careful. Of course, the other thing is, in taking inventory, I must examine my level of health and wellness. How can I run a business if I'm not well, if I'm sick, if I'm in bed every day, or I can't get up till noon? Well, that's not going to work. So the first step in conquering ourself is to do a little inventory, and that's what we're doing. And another way to check out our inventory list is, what do I love? What do I love doing? What do I enjoy doing? And the topic of retiring came up yesterday as I was speaking with my mom on the phone, and she said, "You're never really going to retire, are you?" Because I'm planning a trip to see her, and I'm going to take 4 or 5 weeks. And I said, "Mom, I'm sorry, but retirement's not even in my vocabulary. As a matter of fact, I actually believe that retirement is a death wish, and you go downhill after that. That's just a belief I hold. That doesn't mean it's true." Okay. And then number 10, in the inventory section, I must look at my finances. And finances have been a struggle for me. I have to tell you, even though I've been a good and successful businesswoman, learning that finances were connected to my self-worth, learning that I let people walk all over me, take advantage of me. So the first step in ramping up our business is doing a little inventory. And those 10 things are, I need to know what I believe in, because there's a saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so then the next opportunity comes along, the next direct selling opportunity comes along, the next what you think is an opportunity. So we have to first figure out, what is it I actually believe in, and what is it I really want to do? Well, for me, it's about making a difference, but it took me a while to figure that out. What do I, why am I here? I'm here to make a difference. What do I want? I want to make a difference. And what am I willing to do to get that? Well, I'm willing to continue to make a difference. One person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time. That doesn't mean they're ready or they're willing. And sometimes we have to wait for that to happen, but that's okay. So, what do I believe? What do I think? What do I feel? What do I know? That's the most important. What do I prefer? What are my preferences? What are my priorities? I prefer to spend time with my family on the weekends. That's a priority. Um, my health, in order for me to have a great business, I need to be healthy. And that I follow the principles of the indigenous medicine wheel. I need to be healthy spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally. That gives me balance. So I need to be balanced. Important to know what I enjoy, so I get a reward or a kick out of what am I doing here. And then, of course, finances, which play a big part, especially after COVID. That impacted a lot of people financially. And people who were completely solvent are now bankrupt. People have lost their homes, their businesses, everything that they knew to be familiar. So there's ways to get around that. So if you're just joining us today, we're talking about 10 ways to super grow my business. And I'm using the principles that I developed from Mastery of Self. Because the only person blocking me is me. And I've spent a lot of time pointing fingers. And when I'm pointing that finger, there were three people pointing, three fingers pointing back to the real problem. So blaming others will never help me to ramp up my business or super grow my business. So I had to stop doing that. And a lot of times it's not about what we need to do differently or what else I have to add to the plate. It's about what do I need to stop doing that's getting in my way. All right. Well, the next thing I want to share is I had to figure out, who do I have right now who will support me 1,000% in the pursuit of my dreams and goals? Whoa, there's a list that's pretty short. Because once people came and went and came and went and they didn't do what they said they could do, and we had to part ways or for whatever reason, they used whatever reason they could cough up to justify that. It could have been money, or I didn't do what I said, or I wasn't who I said I was, or, well, I'm afraid to share with those people that 32 years later, I'm still here doing the same thing that I was doing when they met me, right? So who's behind me 1,000%? Who would take a bullet for me? If somebody tries to badmouth me in my business, who's going to stand up for that? We need those people in our circle. They're called ambassadors. And if somebody calls me up and wants to badmouth another colleague or a business connection or even a family member or whatever, you know what? I just like have their back. I'm going, no, we can't go there. That's not been my experience. That's the answer I give. That has not been my experience. So, who's your tribe? Who is your tribe? Who's got your back? Who would take a bullet for you? And then I would ask you to pick the top 3 people the top 3 people and grow that to 5 and grow it to 6 and then grow it to 10, because we need people in our circle who can support us. There's no way we can climb the high mountains by ourselves. I'm sorry, I tried that. It didn't work. So passing that on. And last week when I was in Kananaskis, Alberta, whoa, I realized those mountains, they were in my face. And trust me, there's no way we can climb up that mountain by ourselves. So I would say that would be the challenge. And for some of us, we're used to working alone, or that's why people don't get a housekeeper, because they don't think the housekeeper can do as good a job as we can. And guess what we do? We clean up the house before the housekeeper even arrives. Are you kidding? See what I'm saying? So that's really, really important to have that backup team, to have those ambassadors, to have those people around us who say, you go, girl, you can do it. You've got this. We need a cheering committee. And so one of the ways to ramp up our business right away is to get really clear on who's in our playground and who is not. And if they're in our playground, they get our time and attention. If they're not in our playground, they do not get that. Because we need to spend our time building that team of people who will support us, continue to support us, and we can support them. It's just easy breezy. Then the next thing we need to get clear is, besides the people that we need in our circle, what do you need right now to move your business forward? Is it money? Is it contacts? Is it customers? Is it training and development? Is it personal growth? Is it healing my hurts? What's holding me back? What's holding me up? My self-doubt, my feeling guilty because I'm away from the family. What is it? And so, number 3, to ramp up our business, we need to be clear on what we need. What do I need right now? And I was just recently involved in a compilation book. I shall put a plug in for the book. It's in the showing up and in the power of asking. 62, 63 authors got together, put a book together, and that's the title of the book. It's about showing up, and the power is in the asking for what we need. So why is it so hard for us to ask for help? Well, we don't want to ask for help because we don't want people to think that we can't solve our own problems, or that we're stupid, or that we don't have all the answers. I'm one of those people that I thought I had to have all the answers, and I don't have any answers. You know, I figured it out a while ago during COVID, actually. I don't have any answers for myself, so how could I possibly have any answers for somebody else? So all these people that are out there showing you and saying, let me show you how to have a great life. Let me show you how to be successful. Well, first clue is check them out. What does their life look like? And if it's not what they say they can do for you, they can't do it for you because they haven't been able to do it for themselves. So credibility, right? So who can support you? Who can support you? And my definition of a true friend, and it fits in with what I'm talking about, a true friend never gets in your way unless you happen to be going down. And that's when the true people in your life will step up and say, hey, Laurie, do you realize this is what's happening? This happened? That's a true friend. Someone who will step in and say, whoa, wait a minute, girlfriend. That's a friend. That's a friend. How are we doing so far? You're listening to the Laurie Davis Show, the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, as a matter of fact, as of here from this day forward. And we're here to lead us past our limits, one show at a time. So if today's show leads you past even one thing that's holding you back, then we're happy with our job. We're happy with the job we've done. So number 4, in ramping up our business, we need to recognize who is the boss. Who's the boss? Because when you have your own business, we don't have a supervisor. We don't have somebody saying, no, you can't take Tuesday off. We don't have anybody saying, oh, you'll get that raise on January 2nd, 2028. Just kidding. We don't have anybody telling us what to do. So in order to be a successful business owner and a successful entrepreneur, we need to know who is the boss. Who's the boss? Well, we do have a boss. And I'll tell you who my bosses have been over the years, and that was my clients, my customers, the people who invested in my business. That's who the boss is. And for all those people, that's why I'm still in business, because they are the boss. And so a lot of people think when they go into business for themselves, they don't have to answer to anybody. Wrong, 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 very wrong. We have more people to answer to than if we had a job. So the boss is and are those people to whom we are accountable. Have I always been able to follow through and come through? No. Have you always done everything your boss wanted you to do at work? No. So there's really not a whole lot of difference in that. And then not only to whom are we accountable, I would like to expand on that and go, who's accountable to me? Who is accountable to me? Well, it took me decades to figure that one out because I thought, hey, if somebody put money on the table and invested in my business, and they said they were going to do this and this and this and this to help the business, and they didn't, okay, that's about accountability. False promises, right? So we have to be very careful when we decide to be in business to whom we are accountable, and we need to show up and do that. And then to those who are accountable to us, we also have a right to ask for that. Ed Koch, one of the most notorious and re-elected mayors of New York City, used to walk around the city and asking people on the street, how am I doing? How am I doing? Am I doing okay? That's a big question. And I don't know that everybody here in my world or who's listening would have the guts that it takes to go around and say, hey, how am I doing? Because for many of us, we don't want to hear how we're doing, especially if we're not doing well. We don't want to hear our family say, Mom, I thought you had a business. Where's the money? Where's the free car? Where's the perks? Where's the trip? Mom, making us accountable. We don't like it. So sometimes we're afraid to ask the question. And I ask the question. I ask that of my husband all the time. So I'll say, honey, how am I doing? How do you think I'm doing? And he'll say, fantastic. And then I'll say, no, I mean it. I really want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's okay, because the good and the bad and the ugly give me a better picture of how I'm doing. So another way to ramp up your business right away is to ask the question, how am I doing? How am I doing? Well, and be open to hearing the feedback. Well, you know what, Laurie, this is great and that's great, but that part's not so much great. That helps me. to get better at what I'm doing. So to be open for feedback is another way to ramp up your business. It doesn't mean other people get to tell you how to run your business, because the only person who knows how to run my business is me. And I have proven that over and over and over again. And sometimes I step out in the water and I give someone else the reins, and then all of a sudden they fall apart like a $3 watch. And I go, oh, not the right person, but I'm still strong and I'm still here and I still know how to run my business. So even though we may offer people those opportunities, what they do with them is totally different than perhaps what we expected. So right now in our business, whom do I feel most accountable to? That would be my clients who show up for the workshops, my clients who are struggling, and I support them with flexibility and payments and time frames. I'm very good at that. But if someone refuses to show up, there's really not much I can do about that. And my rewards have been that I've been able to maintain relationships. So, for example, this conference that I did last week, I haven't worked with anybody in that community since 2017. So that's been a while, 6 years. 6 years. But I was invited back to speak at the conference, and I would say that's because of the quality of work that I did 6, 7, 8 years ago. So maintaining those relationships, that's one of the rewards. And how do I stay in touch with my bosses? Which, believe it or not, are my customers. They're my boss. And today, technology has made it so convenient, hasn't it? One time, the only way you could maintain a relationship, and I'll pick up my landline, is this old time phone here. That's the only way. Now, sometimes I prefer that, and I still prefer that, and I still do it. But with all of the social media that's available to us, it's so easy to stay in touch with our customers. It's, friends on Facebook, and they say good morning, and you say good morning and hello, and it's a way to keep us in the loop. It's so wonderful. And we should actually make a plan for that. Make a plan. And we teach that. We teach people how to do that. Another way to ramp up your business is to be really comfortable with the way that we communicate. Okay. So, what is it right now that you do to project who you are versus what you do? A lot of times in networking situations, people go, so what do you do? What do you do? And that's how they open that door to figure out more about us. But it's really more important to find out who they are. Where do you live? Are you married? Do you have a family? What do you love to do? What's your biggest hobby? Getting to know people first really helps to ramp up your business. Before you come out with your product, your program, your service, showing that we care. People are more interested in that you care than about what you know. And I know that I'm really, really good at that. That's a gift, that's a skill. So, because these are the things that I want to be able to project, and this is really important. So, I suggest you write it down. Number one, the number one key to our business, and I feel to any business, is trust. Number one, nobody is going to buy anything from you if they don't know you. And this is why social media is important. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's going to have to be on the phone, filling the bill and building the following things. And we have a very limited time to do that. So how do you project trust? How do people know they can trust you? And we need to be able to put that out there right away. We have 3 minutes actually to make that happen. We need to project love, that we love people and we love our product and we love what we do. And to pick up the phone and make a phone call isn't a big chore. You are privileged to be able to do that. So that's another one. I could spend like weeks on this, weeks on this. I'm just giving you the highlights. Loyalty. It's like if you have a hairstylist that you really love, and I have one of those. And I've been going to her for 14 years. And if she dropped her shop tomorrow, I would have to find somebody else, wouldn't I? How many people do we know that have not stayed loyal to their craft, to their business, to what it is they do? And then you make a phone call looking for a product or a service. Oh, I don't do that anymore. I do this now. That does not build loyalty. We've been in business for 32 years. I had a client who phoned me 11 and a half years after they first heard about us. Because at that time, when she first heard about us, she didn't need what we had. But 11 years later, she needed what we had, and we were still in business. Because we're loyal to our customers, but we also have customers who are loyal to us. Kindness. Has there ever been a time in history when we need to demonstrate kindness? Oh, you haven't been working since before COVID and you can't afford your $300 for your workshops. Could I take a payment plan? Would that help you? That's called kindness. Flexibility. Being able to forgive your past mistakes. I know a lot of business people who've made mistakes and they're still dwelling on it. They're still focusing on it. They're still carrying it around. But that energy, if you carry that energy of unforgiveness, it will not build your business. I've had a lot of people over the years smile in my face and put a knife in my back, and I've had to forgive them and let it go. Otherwise, I wasn't able to move forward. So in business, yes. Or somebody who didn't pay me. I've had people I couldn't pay who couldn't forgive it. I've had people I couldn't pay who did forgive it. And the same with me on the receiving end. I've had people who paid and who couldn't pay, but forgiveness. Forgiveness. I've had people call me up and say, you know, that $2,000 you owe me, don't worry about it. It didn't change my life, and it's okay. And if you have it someday, go for it. And if you don't, I don't care. I still love you, and you're still a beautiful person. See, forgiveness, patience. Oh, is this not the biggie? Patience, understanding that things happen in the perfect timing. When the time is absolutely perfect, that's when it will happen. And trusting that. Boy, that's a high level of operation, right? That's a very high level of operation. And then finally, being able to express all of these things: trust, love, loyalty, kindness, forgiveness, patience, and finally, respect. And this comes from respecting others for who they are, not only who they are, where they are. Maybe they're in the middle of a big drug addiction. Maybe they just lost their job. Maybe they just lost their partner. Maybe they just tried to kill themselves yesterday. But still able to respect that individual where they are in their journey. That is so crucial to any business transaction. And so being able to put all that out there is about us being able to express ourselves clearly. And there's no, what do you call it? Foggy messages, I would say. Well, maybe, sort of, perhaps, that'd be nice. That doesn't give people anything to work with. They need clarity. So my clarity is, what is your level of interest in building your business right now? What's your level of interest? And if you have a high interest in doing that, then you probably need information, new information. Maybe some of these things today you've never heard of. Maybe you know everything. Maybe you know it all already. See? So what is it we need to continue to do, or do more of, or do less of, or stop doing altogether? I know one thing I had to really work on, and that was procrastination. Putting things off. Not, oh, there's a basket. It can be as simple as this. There's a basket of laundry. Better do it right now, because maybe tomorrow I'll be really busy and I won't have time to do it. So as things come up, getting them done. And a lot of times people allow their emotions to get in the way of doing business. How we feel about ourselves, first and foremost, how we feel about other people, how we feel about our community, our family. For a lot of people, their emotions rule their life. And I've been there. I admit I'm guilty as charged. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I want people to do is to become outrageously themselves. Just become outrageously you. No apologies, no worrying about what other people think about it, because chances are they're not even thinking about you anyway. I remember one time, it's a personal story, but I had this huge, I considered it huge at the time, speaking event. There were about 500 people there in a ballroom, sitting in rows, one behind the other. And I developed this run in my stocking, my pantyhose. And I used to carry a spare pair in my purse, because I worried that somebody might see that run in my pantyhose and judge me. Now, in a room of 500 people, and I'm wearing a long skirt, who cares? Nobody. You think they were looking at the little run in my pantyhose? No, they were focused on what I was going to share and what information I had for them. But I had this preconceived idea, because image was very important to me, because I was afraid of being judged. Because most of us have been judged our whole life. Why are you doing that? What are you marrying him for? What makes you think you could do that? You're going to do what? You're going to Australia for a year with a backpack? Yeah. People judge. And that's what makes us paranoid. I was paranoid about somebody seeing a run in my nylons or my pantyhose. Can you imagine? Now I don't even wear pantyhose. Now I don't have to worry about it, right? Just saying. So the key to ramping up your business is just to be outrageously you. Just do your thing. If I had listened to every person that had an opinion about how I should be, or how I should run my business, or who I should be in a relationship with, I would have had the most terrible, chaotic life. Because everybody has an opinion. It's not that valuable. And so an opinion is just somebody's perspective on what you're doing and who you are. And the important thing was for me to become very familiar and clear on who I am and what I need and what I want to do. Because if I had listened to all those other people, I might have very well been dead by now. And that's not being dramatic, that's the truth. Because I would have given up on myself. So let's talk about that, giving up. A lot of people give up. And isn't it interesting to know that the day that you give up could have been the day that your lottery ticket came into fruition? Or we get a phone call saying, hey, we've got this amazing job at the university. We would love for you to fill that position. Or it could have been, a family member calling you up and saying, hey, we're going to have a new family member. I'm having a baby. No, a lot of people have given up on me, but I have never, ever given up on myself. As far as I'm concerned, whatever I dream up, I can make it happen. And I have. I'm living proof that you can do that. And I've done it over and over and over again. When you know what hits the fan, I used to crawl back up. Now I jump up. I actually physically jump up and go, bring it on. Because there must be something I'm supposed to learn here. Bring it on. Bring it on. Don't be afraid of that. Become fearless. Become fearless. Because everything that comes your way is something you're supposed to experience so that you can be better and better and better. So whether that's addictions, whether that's a divorce, whether that's even losing a child or a baby, no matter how tragic that is, everything that happens to us is part of what we need to learn so we can actually be more effective helping others. But the first person we need to help is ourself. And that's where I come in. That's where we come in. So that's what we do. We've been doing this for 30 years, 32 years. One person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time. And right now, to our credit, we have published over 700 workshops. Do you think back in the day when I developed my first 10 workshops that I would ever be able to say I've published 700 workshops? And we've got the next 100 coming up, which is going to make it 800. And that's not to be braggy. That's because we took situations that were not exactly lovely and polite and pleasant, and we went, hey, there's a need for a couples program. There's a need for a youth program. There's a need for healthy, empowering addictions recovery. There's a need for worthy Indigenous parenting. Each time we saw a need, we followed it up and took action. And now we've got coming up 100 shades of prosperity. We're not talking just money. We're talking relationships, health, wealth, you name it. And this morning I was so proud. I have 4 clients who just completed 99 workshops out of 100 in our product called 100 Shades of Entrepreneurship. We have 100 workshops to support people to become professional entrepreneurs. That's like a year in university. We do two workshops a week, and it's over a year. That's like university stuff. Because we have the goods, and we have the materials, and we have the credibility, and we have the experience. Why would you take a business coaching program from somebody who's been in business for a year? Are you kidding me? Or you're taking, no disrespect, marriage counseling from a priest who's never been married. Are you nuts? Just saying, that was a joke. No offense intended. No disrespect to our priests. No disrespect anywhere. But I have a saying, if it's broken, I'm going to fix it. And if it's not broken, I'm not going to touch it. So that's 5 out of the 10 ways to ramp up your business right away. And those are 10 things that are outside of our product called 10 Ways to Grow Your Business. We have a program, 10 ways to grow your business. It doesn't even include this stuff. So yes, I'm proud to say we have the goods. We have the tools, we have the technology. So go for it. You don't have to, and we've been able to provide this in a very cost-effective way because we've been working online since 2002. We know how to deliver online in a way that supports our clients. We've had 20 years of practice. It's not a podcast. It's not sitting there listening to somebody bleep on and on. When you engage in one of our workshops, you're the center of attention, not the person talking. Today I'm alone. I see no one has joined us today live, but this show right now is being recorded live on E360 TV, Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page, the Laurie Davis Show YouTube page, and the only thing that I ask, I don't really concern myself if nobody's listening live today. What I'm concerned about is, will you share the information? And actually, this came up this morning in our 100 Shades. And we all agreed that if we have information that can help another person, we have a moral obligation to share it. How cool is that? That's pretty simple. And if we were in a world where everybody would be doing that, wow, how would that change things? For sure. Sharing what we know. If you have a great parenting tip that works, we need to share that with another parent. If you found a great detergent that's chemical free, and share it. If you make the best chocolate cake in the whole world, back in the day, this was very common where I'm from on the East Coast. If a family member had a really great recipe, they didn't share it. It was a family secret. I have my Aunt Sadie's ginger snap recipe because my mom kind of got it out of her before she passed away, and then my mom shared it. So it doesn't matter what it is. If you know something that you think would benefit another person, share it. Is that just not so simple? And so at the conference that I attended this past week, it was all about sharing powerful information that we could pass on to the participants at the conference. Did we get paid to do that? Yes, we did, because this is how we make our living. But I share lots of times without any pay. It's a combination. Sharing information. But we can only share it with people who are willing to listen. I've tried to help others. It's amazing how I am unable to help my own family members, but people outside call me for help every day. So don't worry about that. They're not open to hearing it. They're not ready to listen. It's all right. That's their decision. See what I mean? Don't be offended by that or take it personally. So that's our show for today. Tomorrow, I do have guests coming. We're going to discuss worthy Indigenous parenting, which is no different than any other form of parenting, except there's some cultural aspects that we've thrown in there, which I think all kids could benefit from. So I hope you will join us tomorrow for worthy Indigenous parenting for all children, because our kids need parenting. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. All right. So thanks for listening. The biggest thing you could do for me is share the show. We were here today on 10 ways to super grow your business. I've got 5 more of those to share. So another day when I find myself alone here in the studio, I will share the other 5. I'm Laurie Davis. You've been listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show here on E360 TV, streaming live right now on Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars and on YouTube. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yay, I love it.